I'm going to give a very specific example of people being fine when you're being abused, but then not fine with your healing. And this has to do with like the friend I had that is in the reel that I just posted, where I'm in a live with my abuser and my friend is there kind of going along with what my abuser's doing. And so the story is that this girl followed me on Instagram. We became really close friends. And if you follow me on my other Instagram at that time, you know what I mean, because it was like 0 to 100 with that friend. And we got so close so fast that I started telling her, confiding in her about my relationship and the problems and the things that were happening and things that weren't happening. So she knew a lot, and she would listen and she would encourage me and be like, wow, they really love you and they really love your kid and they're trying and blah, blah, blah. But then when I started talking about abuse and I came out on Instagram and was like, this is abuse, this is what's happening, they sent me a message and they said, hey, I wish you would stop talking about this. And this person knew, like, I told this person that my abuser tried to break into my house, well, essentially walked into my home, tried to take my child, that I had to call the police a few times, like, knew all of this stuff. And this was when I first started talking about it publicly. It's not 2 years from now, it's not a year from now. And I reached out because this friend ghosted me and I was like, what's going on? Do you want to talk? And, at the time I had been like, I was in Spain with my son, and I would come on in my stories and be like, I just remembered this and I'm going to process through this. And I was doing a lot of that, but I was also doing other things. And it was a time that I needed to be talking about that specifically. And she was like, you're just making it your whole personality. And I just wish you would go back to being like who you were before. And I was like, you want me to go back to being abused? You want me to go back to this miserable person who's a shell of a human, instead of talking about what's really going on here? And that's a very common response that you will get from people. Not everyone. There are people who are going to see it and they're going to support you, but there is a certain type of person who falls into that